Check this out. Freaking unreal. So amazing. That's a good mama on a clutch of eggs. I can finally see my koi again. Hey guys, I'm Kai from Lucas Landing Royals. Hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to show you some killer animals. That's right, killer clowns. This came from a het clown to a clown pairing, and I got some killer clowns out of that. By far the best clown clutch that I have ever produced, so make sure you stick around for that. And it doesn't stop there, because I have another clown clutch that just hit the ground, so we're going to take a look at those and see how many eggs we got from a pastel het clown female. But before we do that, let me know down in the description below if you enjoy seeing updates of my pond, seeing it go from this dark nasty green to a crystal clear color. Well, it hasn't gotten to crystal clear yet, but I want to give you an update, so let's go and do that now. At first glance, you can already notice that the water coming out of the drop off is actually clear and no longer has a green tint. You should also know that now I can actually see to the very bottom. I mean, it's probably hard for you guys to see because the bottom is black, but that box right there that holds the water pump is sitting at the bottom, and you can clearly see the holes, the outline of that lid, and that is a great sign that the water is clearing up. And over here are the koi. So glad to be able to see my fish again. There's still a little ways to go for the water to clear up, but at least the fish are now visible. I mean, there's still a little bit of distortion, but you know, there's other things that factor into that, like the reflection of the surface and the water refraction. I'm sure there's still particles floating around in the water. Hopefully next time I'll be able to give you a better view from under the water. But for now, this will have to do. I'm really glad to be able to see my koi again, and it looks like the smaller ones put on some significant growth because they're starting to catch up in size to the larger ones. You know, green water isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just unsightly. I've actually heard that green water promotes growth. I'm not really sure why, but that's just what I heard. But I don't like green water because, well, what's the point of having koi if you can't see them? So I am hoping that the filter does its job and clears up that water even more, but it is going to be more and more difficult for that filter because the particles that it's trying to pick up are smaller and smaller. So I might have to build another filter or use a different kind of filter to pick up that last bit of debris that's floating around in the water. And if you want to see me fumble around with other filters and equipments for my pond, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to see more snakes, well, we're going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead into my snake room and pull a clutch of eggs. The pairing is a pastel het clown female that was paired to my pastel extreme gene clown male. So let's go ahead and pull those eggs. And this might just be my last chance at making any more clowns this season. Ho ho, look at that. I'll give you guys a better angle. Just let me get set up here. So there you go. This is a pastel het clown. Now, she did slug out for me last season, and that was because I wasn't really planning on breeding her, but she laid anyway. It was a bunch of slugs, or mostly slugs. I think one or two eggs that looked all right, but they turned out bad in the incubator. Whoa, these are really wet for some reason. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put her into a tub of bath water, let her wash off of the egg scent. All right, so like I said, there's a little bit of water for some reason, but we got 2, 4, 6, 7 beautiful eggs. I got my egg tub right here, so I'm just going to move these into the egg tub, and you guys have seen me do this before. And there we are, 7 good eggs into the incubator, and in about 55 to 60 days, hopefully we get some hatchlings. So So that was a nice, decent clutch, much better than the other pastel het clown female that only gave me 2 eggs, all slugs, and of those 2 eggs, one of them went bad in the incubator. And I'll give you an update on that in a future video when that one single egg hatches. So now let's get on to this killer clown clutch, and I think you guys are gonna get blown away. Now I have held on to this video clip for a little bit longer than I wanted to, and that's because I was doing a little bit of research just to make sure that what I said in the clip wasn't completely off the rails. And to be honest, it's not spot on either, but just bear with me. I mean, take a look at the animals, really. Pay no attention to what I'm saying. Just take a look and focus on the animals. Like I said, they are amazing, and I hope you guys are blown away. Now before I show you the clutch, I want to show you the dad. And this is or was sold to me as a pastel extreme gene clown. And I got about 4 clutches from him, and every hatchling from this guy had pastel in it. So I was kind of leaning towards the fact that, hey, maybe I just proved this guy out to be a super pastel extreme gene clown. And I kind of made that statement in the last clutch video, which was probably my downfall there, because the female is a killer leopard het clown. So that means she's a super pastel as well. And the fact that within that clutch that I'm about to show you, there were a couple that looks to be a pastel, a single gene pastel. So there's no way that if he was a super and the mom is a super, there's no way I could get a single pastel hatchling from that clutch. So just wanted to clear that up. So now I wanted to show you this male because I wanted you to see some of the patterns and features. So first of all, this being a pastel, you can see the head. It's very light, it's very yellow. There was some blushing. But you can see that kind of a semicircle pattern right there. It's kind of faint, but I think you can make it out. So that to me is a pastel. And what kind of makes this extreme gene, in my opinion, is that you don't get those teardrops. You don't get many of those teardrops along the side. You got one right there, so that's a teardrop. So it comes kind of drops down like a paint drip or a teardrop. But most of these dots and dashes and circles are floating, right? You can see that on both sides. Very leopardish looking, but the dorsal stripe has these like connected diamond patterns. That's kind of typical of a pastel, except where these corners are of the diamond, it would kind of droop down and form what I said earlier as teardrops. So those are the kind of characteristics that I wanted to point out. Number one, he's got that regular pastel head stamp or head pattern, and then he's got these diamonds on the back and very little drip marks, all of these floating dots and circles. So just keep that in mind. Aside from that semicircle head pattern, everything else that I mentioned I believe to be characteristics of the extreme gene when it's combined with the clown. So now let's take a look at the hatchlings. So first off is this little guy. This is a boy. I believe that this is a pastel. Now he is kind of clean towards the, I guess, the last quarter of his body, but some clowns, a lot of snakes are cleaner towards the tail. In most cases, they would be cleaner towards the tail. So I do think that this is a pastel. I mean, I guess there could be a small chance that this is only extreme gene clown, but I just don't see extreme gene pastel clown in this one. So it's either pastel clown or maybe a slim chance that it could be extreme gene clown. So like I said, this is a boy, and just keep in mind that you can see that kind of a blown out semicircle pattern on the head. I guess this one looks more like a wine glass shape, but yeah, and you can see the diamond still, but the diamonds, like I said, the corners of the diamonds drip down into these drip marks or teardrops, right? So very clean pastel clown, if I do say so myself. But so that's the first one. Now I'm going to get out the second one. So this one looks very similar to the dad. Obviously there's a little bit more contrast, a little brighter color, but very similar to the dad. But also there is a difference that I want to point out. Obviously you got that bright color, so I believe this to be a pastel. We have nice diamonds, no drip marks, but we got these floating dots just like the dad. So I believe this to be a pastel extreme gene clown. And if we take a look at the head, this one's different. It doesn't have that wine glass or semicircle look. It's kind of pinched in. The pattern is pinched in. And we have this very slender dorsal stripe along the neck. And back here you can see it's very slender, much more slender than the dad, because the dad was very, very wide, very like a bunch of diamonds. Very much like this, actually. The dad, the entire dorsal was very much like this. We can also see that this has a much deeper, darker outline around these diamonds, around the dorsal. So because of that coloration of the deep dark coloration of the dorsal, the pinched in of the dorsal, the neck stripe here and the tail, and also that pattern on the head, I believe this to also be a leopard, which is really cool. So this is a pastel leopard extreme gene clown, a male. So there's that one. So now let's get out the next one. So this, I believe, obviously to be a super pastel because of the color, and you can see that it has that wine glass or semicircle on the head. So I don't think this has leopard. It does have a lot of the diamond patterns, and you know, I don't really know if it's the super pastel influence that is reducing some of these drip marks, but there is very little drip marks. There's still more on this one than we saw on the dad or that last one. You can see all these marks coming down. So this could just be a super pastel clown. And again, this is a male. So it could be a super pastel clown. Maybe, possibly an extreme gene as well. But like I said, there's a little bit too much drip marks in comparison with the dad and the last one that we saw. But still a beautiful animal. And you know, if I do let this one go, I'll definitely make sure to say that it is possibly extreme gene, just so that whoever picks this up knows that, hey, you know, there might be an extra gene, and if something pops up in future breedings, you know, they won't be wondering what the heck is this thing. So yeah, beautiful little animal. I'll get out the next one. All right, and this is the final one of this clutch. Very similar looking to the last one. Super pastel, obviously. Look at the color. And based on what I showed you about leopard, you know, you got that kind of a pinched in pattern on the head. Very faint, obviously, because this is super, it's very, very faint, but certainly not that wine glass blown out pattern. And very thin striping along the back. You can see there's very minimal diamond shapes. It's kind of like pinched in. A little bit of a drip mark right there. So super pastel leopard so far, and obviously this is the clown. Whether or not this has extreme gene, I don't know, to be honest, because this pattern looks very leopardish, and it's very busy. Could be influenced by the super pastel. So I'm not really sure if this has extreme gene at all. But again, if I am letting this one go, I would definitely say that this was a possible or probable extreme gene. Again, just to let the buyer know that, you know, this could be something that they might be able to expect if they breed this guy. This is a boy. So if you don't know by now, the 4 clowns that I just showed you, those are all males. Pretty bad odds when it comes to gender, but still, these are awesome animals. I mean, they're gorgeous, and I definitely feel like I learned something in trying to identify these. So I know I said this is the last one, but this is the last clown. There is still one more in the clutch, and I'm going to get that one out for you right now. And she is the last one. That's right, I did say she. All of the other clown combos are all male. This is the only female out of the clutch, and this is a het for clown. And you can see that she actually still has her original skin. She hasn't shed yet, while the other ones have shed for over 3 days now. And I do want to try to get a meal into them, so I don't want to wait for her to shed to try it. So that's why today I'm putting them all into their individual tubs, and I will be feeding all of them, including her, because it's not unheard of for a hatchling to still be in their original skin and take a meal. So it's very well possible that she is going to be ready for feeding, but we won't know until we try. So what is this one? This one, I believe, I'm pretty certain that she is a super pastel, but I also believe that she has the x-treme gene. And the reason for that is you obviously see this striping about 1/4 of the way down. It doesn't have to be very long, but I do think that having that stripe is definitely indicative of x-treme gene. Obviously the super pastel is conflicting and fighting against that, because the super pastel likes to connect the aliens across the dorsal, as you can see with many of these examples. The other thing I noticed are these arches. So before I get into the arches, actually, Jim from Ectothermic Dungeon did tell me about like these paint drips along the side. I don't really see that here. I think because she is a super pastel, and that's kind of blowing out the pattern on the side into her belly area. But what I do notice with x-treme gene are these arches right there. More prominent on this side. It's easier to see. You can see all of these arches. Look at that arch. Oh, come on. Come on, stop fighting with me. See all these arches? I mean, it goes from right here, right there, all the way over to about here, right? So you can see all those really nice arches, and they're very clean. No patterns, no dots, no alien eyes in there. You got some on this side as well. So I believe if this was to be a non-x-treme gene, just a super pastel, those side patterns would be connected, they would be very wide, they would be stretched out, blown out, and if there were any dots, any alien eyes in there, they would be stretched out as well, making it look more like a dash instead of a dot. So based on that, I believe this to be a super pastel x-treme gene het clown and a female. And I do have some people that are interested in this, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, this is the last one, and hopefully they all feed for me. So that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I have something in the works for the next video. So if you're new to this channel and you want to be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching. Please share, and I'll see you guys next time.